This is Cyber Defense Radio with your host and cybersecurity expert, Gary Malevsky. Gary brings to you another globally recognized cybersecurity executive in the hot seat today.
Sitting in my hot seat today is a very special guest. Ravid Circus is the Chief Product Officer of Seemplicity. That's Seemplicity, found online at seemplicity.io, the remediation operations market leader. Ravid, welcome to the hot seat.
Thanks, Gary. Happy to be here.
So you guys help people, you help security teams reduce noise and improve operations of their VM solutions and their exposure management solutions and pretty much all their security tools. How do you do it? How do you centralize and get rid of the noise?
Gary, that's a great question. I think, one of the very interesting part of the security is that the security team is responsible to get all the vulnerabilities, all the misconfigurations, all those findings are responsible to get that fixed, but they are not authorized to make any change on the systems. The people that actually making the fix is the IT, the developers, the network operations, the DevOps, and so on and so forth. So the security team has the responsibility, and therefore they need to drive remediation, but they actually don't have any way to do that. They actually need to get findings from the scanning tools into the hands of the fixers. What we did in Seemplicity is that we actually built a platform that take all those findings from all those different scanning tools and normalize them, reduce the noise, deduplicating them, transforming them from a long list of problems to a short list of solutions, identify who the owner is, and just create automated workflows that get those findings at the hands of the fixers in any way the fixing teams wants to get that. Now, the things that it's doing is that actually takes streamline a lot of manual processes that relies today on manual prioritization, maybe on spreadsheets, maybe on status meetings. It automate that and get that into a very highly operationalized process, which actually allows the organization to remediate and fix more, which is why we call ourselves remediation operations, to help the organization to operate all those remediation processes.
Ravid, nobody's really secure, but I think what people need to realize is resiliency is critical. And what you do, it sounds like you really help in a automated fashion, find and fix things, help improve the resiliency of an organization. So it's harder to get breached. You can improve the security posture and regulatory compliance, I would think, as well.
I like the word resilient very much, because I think that's the exact same thing. You cannot protect anything. You cannot be protected at any point in time. You have very limited control on the latest 0 days that was published today, or when the next patch Tuesday, what it will include and what does it mean for you. But you do have control on how quickly your organization recover from getting this kind of surprises. So building a resilient organization means that you know that given a specific vulnerability or given a specific a problem, that you know how to fix that, who should fix that, and get that done right in a scalable way across the organization, which actually start by reducing the window of exposure. And I always say, if you reduce the window of exposure, the attacker will go to somewhere else, to somewhere which is easier, to somewhere that is having a larger window or easier way to get in. So I think that creating a resilient organization that knows to identify the problem and take care of them in an efficient way is actually what makes you protected on the long run.
That's great advice. And Ravid, are there any tools or security things, whether it's, API or cloud security, are there things you can't integrate with, or do you have connectors to everything?
Well, we have 150 connectors and counting. We are building about 3 or 4 of them new every month. And we have connectors across all the exposure domain: application security, cloud, code, infrastructure, on-prem, IoT, non-human identities, external attack surface management, SaaS identities. Because the idea here is if you want to build a resilient organization, you want to do that across the board and not just for a specific category of exposure. So the way that we usually say that if it's a potential problem, if it's an exposure, it's a finding, and we can take care of any finding. So there is no kind of limitations, and we keep growing that database of connectors, because I think that's where customers getting most of the value of having everything on the same platform, as opposed to keep running between different consoles and different tools.
That's wonderful. Ravid, most government agencies and large organizations have big development teams always writing code and using AI tools and speeding up development, and it's a mess out there. I haven't found many developers who took Secure Coding 101 in college because they never really taught it. So can you help them out and pinpoint things? And you were saying something earlier about unstructured data, like maybe I've got some notes in Slack and I'm loading into GitHub and all that, and I've got a major vulnerability in my code. Can you help with that?
Yeah, so I think there are we spend a lot of time with talking to developers and IT people and understanding their what I call fixer experience on how they experience the things that they get from the security teams. And basically what we heard from them is that we are getting different findings from different security tools. And guys, we don't care how you scan your network. If we need to fix that, we don't care which tool find it. We get many times things which we do not own, okay? And we get many times things which are duplicated, not necessarily the same problem, but the same solution, okay? You ask me to do the same thing twice, even though it's the same thing. And as we understand this, and it kind of gives you a perspective about the friction going between the fixing team and the remediation team, that's one of the biggest things that we did. We actually thought about how to take a big list of security problems, findings, and to make it a remediation backlog. So what we actually do is that we start by transforming all the findings into remediation items, into actionable fixes. We then prioritize them. And then we also use information that exists in the organization, in Slack, in Jira, in GitHub, in other places, to understand who the owner is, to make sure that we assign it to the right person. And by doing that, what you actually get is a very personalized remediation plan for each of the remediation teams. And that's what actually reduced the friction dramatically, because that specific fixer will get what he needs to fix, no matter what security tool it was identified by, and in a way which is actionable and reduce the noise, and is very, very concise. So understanding the fixer experience was a big thing that we did throughout the last few years. And that's what we actually give to our customers, because if the fixer experience is better, he will fix more. And if he will fix more, the risk will be reduced and the security team will be happier, hopefully.
Yeah, you can help speed up plugging all those holes in the Swiss cheese. It sounds like you're a security operations accelerator tool or an accelerator platform.
Yeah, and that's exactly what we see in our customers. So, for example, one of our customers reported that he was able to fix 6 times more year over year with the exact same stuff and technologies on the security team, on the remediation teams, with the only difference is Seemplicity in the middle, helping to make a better remediation plan and helping to drive remediation in a better way. In one of our other customers, there was 3 security teams that needed to handle something around 200 developers that keep creating new code every day, new services, adopting new cloud technologies. And the security team sits there, and that's 3 against 200. Okay, I don't think that they had a chance. And actually, what we help them to do is to be able to get a hold of what is really important for them, automatically understand who should fix those things, and automatically dispatch that in a way that the security team can go back to their place where they are doing governance, when they are doing exception, where things actually cannot be fixed, and we need to create some kind of compensating control and other things, and not be operating copy and pasting spreadsheets or Jira tickets from one side of the house to the other side of the house. So there is a lot of efficiency outcomes and a lot of scalability outcomes where the security team can actually scale to match the amount of technology and remediation teams in the organization.
That's wonderful, Robin. Most companies now, they've either had layoffs or shrinking budgets. They're still trying to find staff as the economy turns around. Some are trying to grow, but there's 500,000 job openings in the US for cybersecurity. Sounds like the efficiency and the centralization and the finding the needles in the haystack, you can really help those organizations buffer the risk because you're improving operations for them automatically.
Yeah, exactly. I know one of the things that I always say, you will not be able to imagine today a software development team that doesn't work with Jira. Okay, you cannot imagine an IT team that doesn't work with a ServiceNow or an equivalent. And if you will go around the table, sales cannot work without Salesforce, and marketing cannot work without the HubSpot and others. Why the security team works with spreadsheets? And I think that once we realize that, we understand that everyone kind of got forward with adopting productivity platforms. And now the security team needs to adopt their own productivity platform.
That's wonderful. How quickly can we get deployed? What's a typical customer deployment look like?
So, usually we are doing some kind of a deployment and onboarding in anything between 1 or 2 weeks. Okay, connecting all the data sources, putting all the different configurations for prioritizations and the automations in place. And then the customer, we leave it to the customer to do the organizational rollout, because one of the things that you realize as you go to those organizations is that every different fixing team in the organization will want their data somehow different. Some of them will want tickets in Jira, some of them will want to put it in the API, some of them will want reports being sent out in Slack, and so on and so forth. And we allow the security team to actually being able to provide any of those services to the remediation teams, because we have a no-code platform, meaning that they can keep configuring that on their own without the need to work with us, okay? And actually get those findings in the hands of their fixers. So there is a gradual value built over time, but the initial value is being achieved very, very fast.
That's great to hear. Ravid, is there anything we haven't covered that you'd like to share with our viewers and listeners?
Well, I can speak about it for days, so the answer is always yes. But I think that one of the things is, I think that there need to be some transformational shift in how security team thinks about remediation. Okay, they need to start looking on themselves as if they really want to share the responsibility with the remediation team, they actually need to share data. They need to be open. They need to get them onboarded in order to share the responsibility. And therefore, I think we need to encourage security team to some extent democratize remediation data, because that's the thing that will help the fixer to actually be fixing more effectively. So I think security team need to, to stop thinking in the traditional way of we will keep everything close to our chest, but do the opposite. Try to find a way to share those remediation data with the respective owners so they can actually work and act upon that. And as you go to that mind shift, you actually gain a lot of value, because there are more people that care about security and act to get that better in the organization.
Great advice. Ravid Circus is the Chief Product Officer of Seemplicity. You heard it here first, folks. He's at the remediation operations market leader. If you've got a security team that really needs to reduce the noise and do a better job with less resources, really improve your security posture and reduce risk, so improving resiliency, they have the platform to help you and your team do it. So go to Seemplicity.io.
You've been listening to Cyber Defense Radio. Stay tuned next time for another amazing and informative episode. CyberDefenseRadio.com is proudly part of the Cyber Defense Media Group, where InfoSec knowledge is power.
Cyber Defense TV and Cyber Defense Radio have launched 24/7 by 365 live streams. Visit them online today at cyberdefense.tv and cyberdefense.radio with your host and globally recognized cybersecurity expert and my good friend, Gary Milewski.